YouTube, we can go live as well. So I'm hoping, Elizabeth, you're logged in and you're watching this. Can you just confirm that we are live on all three channels? And we'll stare blankly at this as we do every time we do. Literally, I've done this so many damn times, and
Mm.
I still struggle with knowing where to look and to press all the damn buttons. So, okay, so as we've done a slightly different time, we thought we'd jump in a few
Tech.
minutes early so people could kind of get themselves sorted, get their cups of tea, cups of coffee, maybe a cheeky beer this time of the evening. I was tempted to turn up with a beer, but I thought probably not appropriate to do that live on air when we're talking about transport safety and compliance. I do walk to the office, so we're okay to get home. But yeah, I think we've done one podcast where we've had a few beers, haven't we? That was was that
I feel a bit
was that
left
one of
out.
yours?
I haven't got a beverage. I feel a bit left out.
Well, that was poor planning. We're going to be talking for about half an hour, 40 minutes. You've not got a drink. Jeez. Okay.
Oh well.
Um, That's fine. So we'll, yeah, as a monthly safety briefing for June. It's quite a light one this month, sorry. So we should be, unless anyone's got some really technical, difficult questions for John. I'm sure we'll be done by about 8:30. I expect. Yeah. I hope everyone can hear me. If you're joined a couple minutes early, do go and say hello in the chat. And say Joe's just said he can't make it tonight. Sorry, he can't be here. Terry, hey Terry. Say good evening. Don't know why it's telling me you're a third level connection, Terry. We're definitely first level connections, but anyway, LinkedIn's the joys of LinkedIn, eh? Yeah. We'll leave it another couple of minutes. Just let everyone sort of roll people up. As I was sort of prepping to do this, obviously doing an evening one to suit our schedules a little bit, plus to see whether an evening session would get more or less. Who knows? I know sometimes people struggle for a day session because although they should be less than an hour, invariably they are an hour. And if you've got an hour lunch break, it doesn't give you time to go and have your lunch. So we thought we'd try an evening slot to see how it goes. So yeah, how are you doing, John?
Good. How are you?
I'm not too bad. Managed to get the kids in bed then beforehand.
All good. Yeah. By 7:15, they are. I can hear. If I'm very very quiet, I can hear one of them snoring, which is great.
Oh wow, how many
Yeah.
floors away are you? Are you upstairs?
Literally, I'm in the spare room, so yeah, they're literally down the hallway. So
Ah, fair enough. That's why you can hear them snore. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
So,
Makes sense. Makes sense.
but I can still talk absolutely volume because once they're asleep, they're out for the count, which is great.
Yeah, like most kids, aren't they? It
Yeah,
takes a freight train to wake them up.
they're
Um,
resilient little buggers, aren't they?
they are. So the amount of times you've dropped in the last 4 years. Um,
I only dropped them a few times. I think 3 or 4 maybe.
yeah, explains a lot. Okay, so hi Victor, good evening. Yeah, we'll leave it another. We are now 8 o'clock, so I'll give it a couple of minutes just to see if we get anyone joined. Post age got to tick up now. Facebook got a couple of people. YouTube. I don't know
Sammy's
what we.
asked. Sammy's asked, is it the same as tomorrow's safety briefing? Is that because the dates were slightly mixed up, 29th and 28th?
Possibly there may be an error
Yeah.
there. Yeah, this is. I mean, yeah. I must say I only noticed when we started looking at the notes to kind of get ready for this. I was like, oh yeah, the date looked different. Yeah, hopefully people are going to turn up. Um,
Soon find out.
yeah, we'll find out. Yeah.
Wait. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, we've got a few people, quite a few listeners watching on LinkedIn now, so that's
Yeah,
good.
I've got a few. So, okay, we'll make a start. As I say, this is all obviously recorded. So, if people have got the dates wrong, if I've made a massive error in dates, then people can catch it on the TMC afterwards. I'll be live on Facebook and YouTube and LinkedIn for a couple of days, but then it into the TMC.
Awesome
As I say,
sauce.
the last session we did last week, we have decided to do certificates of attendance. So if you do wish to have a sort of piece of paper to say you attended this briefing, do just send me a DM or make a comment somewhere at the end of end of the session. Obviously, you need to be around for the whole thing. So yeah, do just sling me a message or a comment or something, and I will get one sorted for you. Yeah, so let's make a start. So yeah, as I was saying before we started, this is a new time and sort of schedule for the monthly safety briefing. Just give you the update, the rundown of what's happened in the transport and logistics space for the last sort of 30 days. It's quite a light one this week, I think. Not a huge amount to talk about. We're going to talk about the follow up to the long semi trailer guidance that was kind of announced, and then I think our monthly safety briefing was a couple of days before the official guidance was published. So we'll dive into that. HGV Levy Rates. The DVSA have launched their new operator scheme, which we'll talk about. We're talking about lower urban speed limits in Europe. There's been a study. Abnormal loads. PACTS have done a review of online driver training, which might be an interesting one because I say we do quite a lot of online training ourselves. And then we've got 2 public inquiries and a health and safety executive prosecution to review as well. So, as I say, questions, do chuck them in the chat. I am fielding them. Although I can't see Sammy's comment for some reason, so we'll see how that goes. So yeah, any questions you shout. Elizabeth is managing them as well, so hopefully we'll get to those. So yeah, John, should we kick off with number 1, which is the long semi-trailer guidance? Not gonna lie, I didn't do much reading around this, so I'm hoping you have, because we've got some basic notes, but I'm hoping you're gonna enlighten our audience.
What I was going to ask is, remind me how people can get a copy of this, actual physical copy, like a PDF copy of the safety bulletin, of our safety bulletin we're doing now.
You're asking the right questions on the TMC. So we put this into a PDF, and it'll be uploaded onto the TMC, so you can download it and read it. Just basically a copy of our notes and the links out, essentially. So yeah, all this information will be on the TMC, on the free account, so you don't have to be a paid user to get this. This is one of our free products. So yeah, go on. Give me the summary of the long semi trailers.
So, excuse me. Obviously, we've already commented. I haven't got water by my side, so I apologise if I sound a bit raspy. I've done lots of talking today. Yeah. So obviously, last safety bulletin we touched on the whole long semi trailer guidance for operators. We mentioned they're going to probably release some form of official guidance. That full guide has now been issued. I have the link here. I don't know how you want to share the link with people, Alan, or whatever. We can share it afterwards, maybe. It's really good to read the executive summary, and it's got the full implementation guide as well. Also, the main things it really talks about, one of the main add-on documents it talks about is they are subject to specific regulations. If you remember, we had quite a few questions, didn't we, on the last safety bulletin about more really in depth, and we weren't really sure sort of how to answer them. But they've actually released a new document, the Road Vehicles Authorization, a Special Types General Amendment Order 2023. I know it's a mouthful. Wow. Again, I'm sure we can leave we can send the link out.
I've just sent the shortcut that's in our notes onto the various chat channels, so people can find that afterwards.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, yeah, I'll share the link to this amendment order. Basically, it talks about sort of route plans and the risk assessments that are legally required for the LSTs. And it talks about how they still have to be added to your vols and your vehicle operating license, bits and pieces. I'm not gonna lie, it's a very in-depth document. It's multiple pages. It will make a good read if you're thinking about operating them. It is an intense read, and obviously it's written in the standard government way, so it's quite intense. Obviously, you and I discussed off air before doing this chat. We may do a whole module on this or some form, because it is very in depth, and it's not gonna. I think we could probably talk about it for a good hour and a half, 2 hours, to be honest with you. So all the little nitpicking. I'm just gonna put the link to that document I just mentioned. I realised it wasn't on our notes, so that is there now for you, Alan. So
so
the Amendment Order 2023. Yeah.
I'll share that as well.
Yeah, it talks about sort of the risk assessments involved, because I remember someone mentioning about certain risks associated going on site and the assessments and bits and pieces. Also, in the first link you put, Ash talks more about the stats. you remember they did a trial period. It actually talks about all the stats, the real world stats, all the
Yeah.
how much emissions were produced compared to a traditional trailer. So it's a really good read. So again, yeah, if you put that second link, again,
Yeah.
it's a very intense read. So good luck. But again,
There
I
you
think
go.
maybe we'll come back and revisit that as a whole module if people are interested.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I am listening. I'm trying to
Yeah,
frantically
no worries. Yeah,
copy and
yeah, it's
paste
fine.
all the links in because I
That's
think
fine.
this is interesting stuff. I don't think
Yeah.
we can do it justice in 5 minutes, but I think we did obviously touch on it last session. So if you didn't catch that, obviously go back and listen to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea personally. I think it's a good move. I think it just the management of it, like anything, it's got to be done kind of appropriately. Um,
Yeah,
so yeah,
yeah, it's not going to suit all operators, but some it's really going to suit. So yeah, we can revisit that. So
I
yeah,
think I
that's that
think I
one.
think I think someone on the last stream sort of I think made the comment that not all trying to get it onto way bridges was hard because they weren't long
Yes.
enough and get it and backing them into bays and stuff. Certain sites didn't have couldn't accommodate the size. So there's obviously the real world application and implication, not just the legislative implication as well. That to be aware
Mm.
of. But yeah. Cool. Yeah. So should we jump on to the change to the levy rates that have been announced as coming on the 1st of August?
Yeah. So the levy rates, yeah. So it was suspended for a year, and now it's coming into play. If you don't know, I'm sure most people do, but I'll just say it in case there's some that don't. But basically, it's a charge where you pay for any vehicle over 12 tons
Yeah.
that uses basically the UK's road network. It's a basic system that basically rewards better efficiency, environmental performance. So, just for argument's sake, if you've got a Euro 6 engine, you'll pay a slightly reduced fee compared to say a Euro 5, which will pay slightly more. Um, so again, this is coming in from 1st of August this year. So yeah, over 12 tons, you've got to pay it. They have released the guidance again, Alan. I put the
Yeah.
link to the publication in there. The guidance explains the rules, the updates. It lists the new rates and actually the link to how to pay it as well.
Yeah.
So again, majority of people are going to know what this is. It's kind of old news, but obviously it's worth just sharing it for some of the newbies out there.
Yeah. I'll copy and paste that one into the chat as well. So when I look gormless at the
Awesome.
screen, that's what's happening.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it is what it is. Sometimes these things can pass you by, which is why we run these sessions for this exact reason.
Mm.
So I'm just going to put it into the chat 3 times. There you go. Cool. So yeah, is the DVSA, the new operator scheme that's been sort of announced. I know when we've spoken to people around DVSA earn recognition, this was a question that came up a couple times in terms of how can new operators get onto earn recognition, because you've got to obviously have an O license for 2 years to qualify. I'm guessing you kind of read through this document in advance of this session, so you know what it's all about. Do you want to kind of give the summary?
Yeah, so basically, yeah, so they're introducing a new scheme to help brand new operators to basically get onto DVSA and recognition. It is currently being trialed, so it's not out there for the masses. So I think it's pretty much if you apply, they will contact you. And if you're brand new, say you're a few months old, you'll then contact them, have the conversation with them, and then they might accept you to the trial. Okay. So as it's still been trialed, the program is subject to a lot of changes. Again, I've shared the link there, Alan. But
Yeah.
basically, yeah, it is exactly what it says on the tin. They're just helping you fast track the progress basically in the process. They're going to help you work through sort of the 8 milestones to achieve the earned recognition, help you with the risks, help you with
Yeah.
the management. So I think they're actually asking, as long as you've had a license granted within the last 6 months, that's what they're asking. And then you can do. And that's not just HGVs, that is PSVs as well. Again, I don't think we have
Okay.
many PSV specialists that listen to this, but it's for both.
Yeah.
So again, I'm sure you're going to share the link, but
Yeah.
for a new operator, it can be really fantastic way of getting you down that recognition route and getting compliance and having that lovely accreditation.
I
So
guess it
really well
doesn't.
worth doing.
I was reading through it. It doesn't actually get you earn recognition before the 2 year mark, but it helps you get towards it so that come 2 years hits, you're good to go, sort of thing. You've kind of worked through it, and
Yeah,
yeah,
pretty
and I
much.
think
But again, it's still being trialed, so it's obviously still subject to change. So,
yeah,
but again, I did put the link in there, didn't I? Yeah, I have.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it is there. So I'm gonna stop sharing links because I think everything here we've got a link for. So I'll stop there because I'm getting really distracted talking to you and trying to do it.
Fine,
It'll all be in the doc afterwards, so people can yeah,
perfect.
find it afterwards. So yeah, yeah, I think that's a really big deal actually. That change, I'm really excited by that because I think earned recognition is something that we talk about fairly regularly on the stream. And obviously
Okay,
I've had Phil on the podcast before. I know I'm talking to Phil at the moment, and we're looking to get a workshop around earned recognition actually on
fine.
the TMC for members. So yeah, look out for that. That'll be in the next few months, I hope. So yeah. Next topic is the lower urban speed limit in Europe. It's a bit of
The
a
best
mouthful.
acronym
I,
ever.
I'm, yeah, Lustra. Lustra is incredible. I don't know where the R comes from. I'm trying to work out. There's no words, but there we go. Yeah, I mean, do you want to kind of give the summary in sort of 30 seconds or less?
Do you know what? Yeah, I don't know where it does come from.
Yeah.
Because I'm actually looking at, because I've had the official release from Lustra. It sounds like a French perfume, doesn't it? It's
Well, I
basically,
always
yeah.
say it sounds like a Bond villain organization, like an organization of Bond villains. Is what I thought, but there we go.
Lustra. Yes, basically lower urban speed limits in Europe. Okay, so basically, they've looked at different ways of reducing vehicle speed limits in urban areas. It's been in use in the UK and mainland Europe for absolute decades. And basically, they did a full report with PACTS that basically goes through what it means. Obviously, I'm going to tell you something that you would have known already. Obviously, it confirms that a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit, does have a better rate of if you hit someone, that casualty being a minor to a serious injury is great. Bumping someone at 20 miles an hour, cyclists. So I didn't have to tell you that. That's pretty obvious. But basically, the document is a pretty good read. Again, it's a fairly intense read. It's about 120 pages. It's basically a special project that's been formed by all these big health and safety and road transport specialists from all over Europe. And basically, they're just looking at how they can make it. Actually, they're actually looking at basically making this 20-mile speed limit standard across entire Europe.
Yeah.
So the bottom line is we're probably potentially looking at reduced speed limits in the UK over the next couple of years.
I mean,
Most urban areas are, well, no, Wowbus schools are 20 miles an hour already, aren't they? We're used to it.
yeah. I must say, I've noticed I drive in London fairly regularly because the cost of getting the train is ridiculous. So driving is usually cheaper from where we are.
Mm.
And I have noticed some of the kind of the approaches are now lowering down to 20 miles an hour as standard across kind of entire boroughs. And that's happened the last sort of 6-12 months. They've actually made that reduction from 30 to 20. So I've started seeing the impact on the roads as well. So yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is a really interesting read. I probably read about 20 pages of it. I've only got a small brain, so I can only handle so much information at one time. So it's a really good read of what they're trying to do across Europe. I know some people may not necessarily care about what's going on in Europe, but it's really interesting. It is really interesting read. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it really from the silly name Lustra.
Yeah, I think we should. I think we should come up with different kind of organisations or things that match the name. I like that kind of competition on a postcard sort of thing.
Yeah.
That's a blast from the past. Topic 5 is yeah, talking about abnormal loads. I know this is something I am in conversations with a couple of other individuals around this exact topic, around kind of the consistency across the police forces. So yeah, I mean, there's nothing really to report other than there has been a letter from the RHA sent to the National Police Chiefs Council, kind of asking for kind of clarity on working together in on this. Is there anything else you wanted to add apart from that, essentially?
Yeah, basically the background is it's RHA been doing some sort of research into it, and obviously RHA has quite a widespread in the UK and lots of members, and basically it's been the hauliers were basically reported that some police forces aren't really being as helpful as they can be.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, they're causing further issues, further costs. Um, basically, sometimes when you need to move a load, an abnormal load, sometimes it's last minutes,
yeah,
and sometimes the police aren't. Again, this is only certain areas in the UK. The report hasn't been released, but they're saying some areas in the UK, they're not. Plus, some police forces aren't accepting short notice movements at all.
yeah,
They're literally not doing anything, and that they even deviate sometimes from the actual legislation, the actual
yeah,
law, without any industry consultation. So police aren't exactly asking the RHA for advice.
yeah.
So yeah, again, it's pretty interesting. As I said, yeah, they've sent a letter from the RHA to the National Police Chiefs Council to basically say, look, we need to work together. You're
Yeah.
causing more issues, more costs to hauliers when we've all got a job to do,
And
and you are
unfortunately,
doing.
unfortunately, what it happens is it leads to non-compliance because the legit operators will just say to the customer, "Can't do that. It's not within my. I can't scope that in that short term." So you'll then have operators that don't mind bending the rules, trying to chance it and getting away with it, and that's unfortunately what. From my conversations I've had with a few operators, that's exactly what's
Mm.
happening. Is they're losing out on work, and it's going to people that don't mind bending those rules, which
Well,
is
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
it's not good.
yeah, not good. Um, yeah, I think there's I'm trying to get some relevant bodies involved, doing some either some lives or some workshops on this exact topic. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled for that on the various
That'd be
socials because
interesting.
I'll be sharing that because I think it's quite a topical one at the moment.
Mm.
So yeah, topic six, we're going to talk about PACTS, the kind of the Parliamentary Advisory Council for Transport Safety. I think I've got that right. They do lots of stuff around kind of reviewing and advising government and stuff. And they reviewed online driver training. It's something that I'd be interested to get. It's our driver trainers, and it'd be interesting to see what people's views are on this. But what was the sort of like what's the summary of the review that you read?
Again, it's like we said earlier. I'm not going to be. You're not going to be surprised when I tell you that their findings. But the report, sorry, is actually called "Shifting Face-to-Face Driving Safety Online: Current Understanding and Best Practice." So it's a nice tagline. It's basically So that the report goes into detail basically how there needs to be more interactive elements. The course length sometimes isn't great. The group sizes aren't exactly great. They found, again, you're going to smile when I say this, things like distracting virtual backgrounds,
Yeah,
having the fish bobbling around or the fake library in the background or the New York sort of skyscraper backdrop. It's not good. And they've also found that a lot of online training, they don't encourage interaction. There's no quizzing, there's no informal chat, there's no breakout sessions. Again, of course, this is very vastly different to being in a classroom. There is a place for online training. Obviously, that. We discussed that before. But what I've just told you, is that much of a surprise?
I mean, no, but someone asked this on our Facebook group a couple of days ago, and I kind of weighed in a little bit because I do have quite strong opinions on this. If you're a shit trainer, going online just makes you shit trainer online. If you're a good trainer, going online, you'll still be a good trainer. I think
Mm.
it's got nothing to do with the delivery method. I think we've been doing it 3 years now. We've been doing kind of is this my mute kind of dance for 3 years. We can now use the technology well enough. We all know those backgrounds are ridiculous and distracting. Don't put them on. I don't know why people still do that. It's ridiculous. It slows your computer down. Don't do
Mm.
it. And you can run discussions. I sit on loads. I mean, we've just launched, as you know, we obviously run workshops on the TMC, and those workshops are cameras on, live training. It's informal, but it's still training, learning information. And what we've done as part of our sort of upgrade to our platform, which is a feedback we've had, is we've now actually added a chat feature to the workshop, so you can actually ask questions beforehand. You can actually ask in the chat. Again, I know you can do that on Zoom, on Google Meet, and all those platforms. You can ask those questions, but it's only when you're there and talking. We're having it so it works offline, so you can actually ask those questions beforehand. That trainer can actually deliver some content beforehand. So I think technology is something that is, if used correctly, can be really, really powerful. But again, I think a lot of people have struggled because they were chancing it when they were delivering it in the classroom, and then they've got nowhere to hide. Now they're delivering it online, and you're gonna have to interrupt me, otherwise I'm gonna keep wanging on about this for another half an hour.
What I will say is, though, what was interesting is, obviously, as you know, I went on a training course, didn't I, a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah,
And one thing interesting is it was on Microsoft Teams, and they actually had the ability for breakout rooms on
yeah,
Teams. I never knew that was a thing, and it was fantastic. Actually, but there was a few of us on the course, I think 16 people, 12 people, and they put us into breakout rooms for 3 or 4 in each. We had a home little room. Then the instructor came round to each room, said, "Right, how are you getting on with this task?" And again, I think that was I was really pleased with that. I was like, that's really
yeah,
cool. Like, we can all come out of our shells a little bit. It's only 3 of us in a room. We can
yeah,
talk openly with the instructor in case you're a little bit shy. It was fantastic. So again,
yeah.
I didn't know that existed, and I'm pretty sure I've done loads of online training the last couple of years, actually being like a paid attendee, and no one's ever done that before. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, but then I guarantee these same trainers wouldn't do small group work in the classroom if they were delivering in the classroom, would they?
No, maybe not.
So I think actually delivery online, it makes a difference. So yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
get me off my soapbox, otherwise I'll upset
Okay.
someone.
We move on to ignore the numbers because I think these are a bit out of sync. Topic
That's fine.
7.
Yeah, topic 7, topic 6,
Yeah.
topic 7. Yeah, so we're talking
Yeah.
about got a couple of PIs we're going to go into now. So I'll let 57. Yeah, I'll let you lead this conversation because I know you've done all the deep dive into this. So before we carry on, I'll say if anyone's got any questions on those things, we're now going to dive into the public inquiries and the health and safety incident. So if you've got any questions, do feel free. I think there is a delay slightly. So yeah, if there's any questions, then please do put it in the chat. But yeah, well, yeah. So John, do you want to jump into this one, which one is it? The Zach Khan Sadiq, I think is what it was, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I was looking
Yeah,
at, because you think you had a couple of comments about face-to-face training and bits and pieces.
yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, I've done a deep dive into a couple of public inquiries. They're very lengthy ones. In hindsight, I should probably go on something a bit shorter to tell everyone the full story, but I found them very interesting. And obviously, the whole point of me telling, or the whole point of us discussing this, is to get people thinking about their own operations.
yeah,
And how they can improve their own operations. So again, this is all public knowledge. So we will say company names where we do, and dates where we can, and obviously names of individuals, including directors and transport managers. Again, they are fairly lengthy ones. I'm sure at some point we'll send the links so people can read them at some
yeah,
point in the
yeah,
PDF, whatever. But yeah, you can make your own minds up. So excuse me. So recent public inquiry. This is held by Nick Denson. He had the case of Mr. Zach Khan Sadiq. I'm now going to say Zach. The operator held a license for 1 vehicle and 0 trailers. And he applied to add a trailer back in March. He then, so bear with me, there's a fair few changes in name with transport
yes.
manager here.
I did chuckle
So
when I read
basically,
through this.
so the transport manager at the time resigned in July 2018. He stated that compliance paperwork and tachograph charts had not been presented to him, despite asking Zach several times. Zach's version of events were that there was a financial dispute between him and the TM at the time. So then we had numerous TMs from 2018 to 2022. So I'm going to rattle these off. So I apologise if I butcher some of the pronunciations of the names. So Zahida Parveen was nominated as TM in August 2018, then resigned in November 2019. Paul Johnson was then nominated in July 2020, who then resigned in August 2021. Ben Marklew was then nominated TM in November 2021, who then resigned in July 2022. Mark Brown was next, starting in July 2022 and then resigning in November 2022. Then Abbas Farouk was then nominated as the operator's 6th TM in December 2022.
Wow.
So again, there's
more TMs there have been James Bonds.
yeah. So again, red flags, bits and pieces there. Again, make your mind up what you will on that. So basically, in November 2022, the operator submitted an application to add a trailer to the license, right? So the license team in the Leeds asked for information and remind the operator he has to operate to his existing license in the meantime. Yeah. So basically, what it says on his license. Yeah. So there was some suspicion that Zach was operating a trailer in this time, without the authority. So the application was refused.
What was the actual company doing? If it's got a truck, was it sort of like doing like pickups of trailers and stuff?
That's all the information we have at the moment.
Okay.
So yeah, that's all the information that was given. Unfortunately, sorry, I can't answer that. So basically, there the suspicion. So the application was refused for that trailer. So the traffic commission stated that Zach, you can appeal for public inquiry if you want, and obviously Zach did, much to his dismay, as you'll go on to see. So this took place literally last month. So in the public inquiry, multiple photos of evidence have been submitted by the DVSA, by ANPR cameras picking up the vehicle operating that trailer. I think out of so many photos, they found that the vehicle operated 333 times after he was told with a trailer that he couldn't operate it. All photos show trailers being pulled every single time. It came to light as well that the vehicle had several delay prohibitions, fog lamps, loose wheel nuts, oil leaks, damage to the body, to name a few. That list is quite exhaustive. He also had a poor MOT pass rate, basically. The investigation is a very lengthy one. It's probably one of the longest public inquiries I've read in a while. But the end result was basically the license was revoked and he had 12-month disqualification. Again, like that many TMs, that many issues. He did try and do his best. He tried to ask for assistance from other people. Again, it's a very good read, but it's a very long. As I said, it's one of the longest ones I've read in a while. So yeah, that's not good. 333 times.
It just beggars belief.
But I think we're quite lucky.
Quote here from Nick Denton. He seems to have embarked upon the world of operator licensing without the slightest idea of what it involves, and without any knowledge of the function and purpose of a transport manager. And it's it does make for a very good read, but again, with the TMC and Facebook and LinkedIn now, pretty much most TMs know everyone, don't they? Like everyone knows everyone. So I'm sure, look, I'm literally just looking at LinkedIn, looking at the people sort of liking, commenting. I'm sure everyone knows everyone. So I'm sure Ben, now these days, Ben will probably go, "Oh, Mark, I wouldn't go for that, mate, because they got this, that issue." Yeah. And it's but yeah, it is what it is. So next one, Charles Cars Limited. This was a very interesting read because it was very confusing. Okay, so I'll tell you for why. So basically, they hold a restricted license. Okay, authorizing 2 vehicles. Okay, so I think it was a car and a minibus. Okay. The director was Mohammed Naeem. Okay, they operated in High Wycombe. The main issues they had was when they were picked up on bits and pieces, they actually found out that the directorship and company's house was not being updated at all. They had several different directors, several different names of secretaries, and no one really knew who was the director. It was all a little bit suspicious, if you know what I mean. Okay, but again, I'm sure we'll share the link and you can read it for yourself. This one's even longer, so I apologize in advance. But that's the main red flag. Like, again, it comes back to when you do your checks for clients, checking directorship and company's house is one of the things you should check. It does make it's very confusing. There's lots of names. So anyway, so the TC tried basically contacting the director several times to interview him to find out what was going on, and discuss a couple of maintenance issues that had been picked up on roadside pulls.
The operator kept basically sort of denying it, don't want an interview, and eventually he succumbed to an interview, I think, on the third time round. It's not really good to annoy the traffic commissioner's office. Just if they ask you to see them, you see them. So basically, yeah. So they had loads of maintenance issues, loads. Like again, when you read the document, I've written down a few here, but first of all, the maintenance documents were on a photocopy of an annual test summary form.
Okay.
So not even a recognisable PMI form. So nothing on that sheet said preventive maintenance, no items, nothing. It was on a rubbish photocopy and handwritten. There's nothing wrong with handwritten service sheets, but obviously this wasn't fit for purpose. Services were being done late. Some were 23 weeks and 11 weeks late when they were on an 8-week officially, but they told DTC they were getting done over 6 weeks. So that's quite a big jump. They found defects. Defects found basically no drivers weren't reporting them. So the whole driver identical defects. None of them being reported. So things like warm tyres. They found tyres worn on the outside that a driver should identify. Bulb was not working. Again, drivers should find these. They were finding also they found a nil defect report back in May of this year, suggesting that the mileage reading of the vehicle had been gone backwards basically. So there's some falsifying of records and getting the drill out and drilling it backwards. Basically, the traffic commissioner said, the maintenance standards fell far below the basic standard expected. Yeah. They also found that the operating centre was actually a residential property with no room to move a vehicle safely. So they had that minibus reversing out onto a main residential public road. And considering sorry, go on.
How's that even possible? To obviously get an operator license, you've got to go through a series of hoops.
No one, obviously, when you put the permission through, obviously it's put in the local paper, isn't it? And that's when people, other businesses, whoever can obviously can appeal against it and say no. So obviously no one appealed against it.
But surely, so that's how it got through. Maybe this is. As people know, I'm not a TM, so I don't know the ins and outs of applying for a license specifically. But surely someone at the traffic commissioner is going to kind of look at and do a Google map search and go, that looks like a home address. Like, surely that's part of the check.
It got through nonetheless. They also found again the director. Again, there were so many. He appeared to be confused when asked about company tachograph cards and the download of the VU units. Yeah. Actually, even questioning, what do you mean by infringement reports? So yeah. There was some major failings there, and the one thing that I found a bit confusing was the end comment from the traffic commissioner. His words were, "No order for disqualification on this occasion, but revocation take effect from 12th of June 2023." And when you search for it, you search for the operator's license. It was showing still effective yesterday, so I don't know if it is still now, but. Again, we'll share the link with everyone. It's a very long read, but massive issues with maintenance. So you can see the theme, transport managers going through transport managers like teabags, and I
think the theme is operators not really understanding their responsibilities for running an operator license. Bless you.
Okay.
It's operators not understanding their requirements and their responsibilities. I think I was just reading that one for Mr. Naeem. It was saying how it was his first public inquiry, and his frankness in the face of these shortcomings. I made no order for disqualification on this occasion. Basically, it's the first time screwing up, and you were honest when it came about that you weren't really understanding what your responsibilities were.
He didn't try to hide anything. Which is good. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just going to check if there's any questions.
I think.
I say, Jill, you said with the OTC look at Street View. Yes, I assume they would do, but I assume that because normally I'm guessing what happens is people have an operator license but then park elsewhere, and that's where those issues come from. But actually
Mm,
having your operator license at that address does worry me a little bit. But there we go.
mm,
Um,
mm.
okay,
Um,
so final thing we're going to talk about is kind of a bit of a shift from pub inquiries, looking at health and safety prosecutions. Yeah, do you want to kind of this is something you've got a little bit of experience with actually being in the waste sector. So I think you probably got some input into this, haven't you?
yeah, I was reading the comments. James Barry forces going back to the abnormal loads. Unfortunately, they weren't listed on the article published. I think that would be abnormal gate. You know, imagine it blowing up police forces. You know, saying police forces aren't doing their job properly. You
Yeah.
know, not sticking to legislation. So unfortunately, James, yeah, I couldn't tell you because I'm not in the article.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically, so going back to the HSE prosecutions, there was only one officially noted this month. Some other bits and pieces about guidance, but nothing transport related. So there's only really one that stuck out to me. A council was fined for waste collection failures. So it's a fairly old one, which is obviously taking a while to go to court, like all these things do. Chelmsford City Council was fined £1,000 for waste collection safety failures after a father of three died when he was struck by a bin lorry. So Steve Bishop, 37, God, that's so young, isn't it? Passed away after being hit by the rear and underside of the bin lorry that was reversing down OCL Way in Chelmsford back on the 8th of December 2017. Steve, who also lived in Chelmsford, was working as a loader operative at Chelmsford City Council at the time of the incident. HC has gone in and investigated. Obviously, the council, accepted that they have failings that have led to the death of Mr. Bishop. It was found basically the council
Yeah.
failed to.
Yeah. So
Sorry.
what was found? What was the cause?
So basically, yeah. So the findings that they found, they failed to effectively manage the risks presented by moving refuse vehicles. They didn't provide any training or instruction for agency workers on safe procedures for reversing and the use of hand signals. It was also noted they failed to effectively monitor its employees' working practices. So again, this last month, do you remember last month's safety bulletin?
Yeah.
A person got reversed into by an Arctic, didn't they? Do you remember?
Yeah.
Sid Hall, was it Sid Hall? Don't quote me on that. I can't remember
Can't
Sid Hall,
remember.
but
So
yeah,
write the
the
notes.
was killed on the spots. So again, these things are all the time. So basically, yeah. So Chelmsford City Council pleaded guilty to breaching Section 2(1) and Section 3(1) of the Health and Safety Act 1974. The council was fined 80 grand in order to pay just over £61,000 in costs at
Yeah.
Chelmsford Crown Court on the 16th of June 2023. Yeah, basically, agency stated that several health and safety management failings were identified, led to inconsistent systems of work, provision of training, high risk activity, waste collection. So as you said, yeah, I have background in waste, and yeah, it is dangerous working around these vehicles. And
Yeah.
I regularly see my council is Three Rivers Council. I see him most mornings going out around the area, and the use of hand signals is absolutely fantastic. You see him walking, talking, they're doing this. It's fantastic. But sorry, I've got my son asking, can he go for a wee? So I apologise. Yes, Jackson, go for a wee. Thank you. Apologies. He's asked. He's asking like a good boy, so that's fine.
So it
Okay,
just shows
I
we are.
apologise.
That's no need to apologise, mate. This is we're doing it of an evening, and yes, it's the real
Yeah.
world. People have children. It's absolutely
Yeah.
fine.
But yeah, it's scary how these things still happen.
Yeah.
That poor guy, that was his day job. He knew what he was doing. Obviously, he didn't. So yeah, sad. Again, there was only one
What
prosecution.
I say? What
Sorry,
would
go on.
happen? Like what would obviously prosecution is great. It's been sorted and like dealt with and whatever. But surely
Mm.
actions have to have been taken. Surely the council got to implement sort of changes. Is there stuff that do you need to go and deal with him?
Okay, go and join Jackson, please. Thank you, Colby, for telling me. Colby's also going for a wee, so
Thank you very
fantastic.
much. I'm
Both
glad to
boys are
hear.
now. I can hear them weeing in the toilet together.
Good,
Crossing
fantastic.
streams.
There you go.
Right.
There you
Sorry.
go.
So your question again. Sorry.
What should have been actioned? What, in your opinion? I mean, do we know what's been actioned, or is it just
Further reading, basically, Chelmsford Council, I think they're calling in consultants and they're basically just redoing all of their health and safety, going through policies, procedures, risk assessments, um, and also they noted that they use a lot of agency workers, which
yeah?
most of these places do because it's hard work. You know, not people stay
Yeah,
getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, working, sort of walking alongside the roads. It's hard work. Most of these places have high turnover of staff.
yeah,
So using agency is crucial. Like
yeah,
if you want your bins picked up, it's going to be crucial.
yeah.
So, but it is sad how that's 2 months in a row now we've heard about people being killed by moving vehicles.
Yeah, obviously these are cases from years ago and coming to light now. But yes, it
Mm.
is. It shouldn't happen. Everyone should feel safe to go to work and come home safely.
Exactly, exactly. But yeah, as there was only one prosecution. The only thing I have made a note here, because agency actually mentioned it. Obviously, it's worth mentioning about working in hot weather at the moment. I don't know if people are aware. You know, there is no legal maximum temperature for workplaces, but
Yeah,
employees still have to be responsible, and common
yeah,
sense prevails here. Just remember, employers, should assess the risks to health and safety of the workers. That's the
yeah,
law, including extreme weather such as heat waves.
yeah,
So heat is still classed as a hazard and should be treated like any other hazard. Assess those
yeah.
risks and things like cool drinks, that sort of thing. 'Cause it is getting hot.
Or just work in a nice air-conned office and just have to have a blanket on you the entire time because it's bloody cold in here. I'm not gonna lie. So, but
I'm
yeah,
jealous.
yeah, yes, um, yeah. I think this is. I mean, in all honesty, I thought this was going to be quite a light one. 45 minutes. I'm quite impressed.
We have. Wow, that's impressive.
Doesn't
And two
time
boys
fly
are
when
still
you're having
weeing. It's
fun? And we are
fantastic.
still going there. So, I say this is our third one now. I think we've kind of got this down pat. I think kind of this works. I do hope people do get value out of this. So I do appreciate feedback. As I say, this is something we do kind of. It's a free stream for everyone, not just TMC members. So it's
Mm.
there to kind of educate and upskill and support the industry, both for new operators, new TMs, but also for experienced ones that sometimes things do fall through the cracks. So I do hope
Mm.
that kind of people are finding this useful. If you have feedback on the sessions, please do send me a message. Say on the Facebook group, send me a LinkedIn DM and a connection request if you're watching there. YouTube, there's no one on YouTube, so we can just ignore that one. As I say, we're trialing different times for streams. I get the impression this time wasn't as popular, and we've had less people tune in as we normally do, which is not ideal. So if you could sort of let me know whether you prefer this time or whether you like it during the day, it'd be good for us to make sure we can sort of put it on at the right time. And finally, as I said, we've got certificates of attendance, people that join. So if you are interested, please do send me a message either on LinkedIn via direct message or a Facebook message in the group or to me via the group. As I say, it's just to add to your records so you can doing some sort of ongoing training and development. That's it from us. Next week's stream, I've got Frank joining us. We're going to go through a short but sweet summary of the ins and outs of a maintenance planner. So that'll be next week's session. Yeah, 20-minute session just to kind of anyone's interested in that topic. And oh yeah, finally, the live stream last week was really successful, really positive. We did a load of stuff on mental health. I don't know, John, if you managed to join in to that.
I
I can't remember
I did
what you
watch it. Yeah, it was really
organised.
good. Really good.
So we're actually, Dean and I are running a workshop on the 25th of July on the TMC to basically, because it was a great stream. We talked a lot about a lot of stuff, but it was quite a high level kind of big picture stuff. Wasn't really boots on the ground. What can you actually do in your operator and what you do with your customers? Yeah, we're doing a workshop on that in the I'm just going to mute you, John, because I can hear the boys behind you, so I've muted them. Yeah, so I say we're doing a workshop where we can actually action and discuss actionable to implement these sort of changes in your business. So yeah, loads of things going on. Do keep in touch on the Facebook group. Find me on LinkedIn. If you want to be kept up to date via email, let me know, and I can add your emails to the list if you're not already a subscriber. Other than that, this recording will be available on the TMC, so do go sign up for the free plan. As the bulletin will be there in a few days' time as well. Other than that, thank you very much, John, for giving up your evening for this. I
It's always a
think
pleasure.
it worked. Yeah,
It's
I say
I think it's worked fine. The boys have only come in to tell me they need a wee once, which is great.
yeah, it's okay. It's only been 45 minutes. So yeah, thank you
Yeah,
very much, John, and thank you very
pleasure.
much for joining us this evening. And I'll see you next week for the ins and outs of the maintenance planner.